Hi, welcome to Comptroller's Corner. I'm your host, Pat Curry, joined as always by Buffalo Comptroller Mark Schroeder. Our top story today, the high-tech manufacturing hub at Riverbend received a major boost last week when one of its anchor tenants, Solevo, was purchased by industry giant Solar City. The acquisition could lead to an additional 2,000 jobs at the campus, with creating one of the world's largest solar panel production facilities. Now, Mark, the chairman of Solar City is Elon Musk. Now, he might not be a household name, but the two companies that he co-founded, PayPal and Tesla Motors, certainly are well known.
Yeah.
His entry into the Buffalo economy could be a major boost for the city's economy and the attempt to create a more sustainable, cutting-edge future for our economic sector.
Absolutely, Patrick. And let me suggest what is a household name. Jobs, jobs, and jobs. And in the intro, you talked about how many jobs will be there, and that was a little different than a few months ago when we were all very excited about the original announcement.
Originally, they said 475 jobs for Solevo and another 375 for Sora, the other company in there.
Yeah.
This could, another 2,000 jobs really could be a game changer. And they said 2,000 might not be the limit, it might be the minimum, might even go more, especially with the spin-off activity that could surround this campus.
Yeah, so this is tremendous news for Buffalo. And also, I think the citizens know that this is the kind of news that we want going forward. This opportunity is sustainable. It is, because it falls under the green technology, green energy. There were things that we've had in our past, Republic Steel, Bethlehem Steel, even Kodak in Rochester with cameras and film. It all the whole game changed. This will stay forever and even get better in terms of the technology and the green technology going forward. So this is sustainable. And what's happening at the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus too, that's all sustainable because this is all new technology. And in 5 years, we'll have 20,000 people working there. That equals what was at Bethlehem Steel back in the day. So this is tremendous news. It's tremendous news if you're young and if you want to stay in Buffalo and you want to stay with your parents and you want to stay in this community. But it also is tremendous news historically because of the type of business that this is, so that it is sustainable, and down the road 5, 10, 15 years, we're not going to have major trouble with this announcement. So this is fabulous.
And we've seen economic numbers that show that the 20 to 34-year-olds are actually staying and coming to Buffalo, where in previous years they've moved away. Now, you mentioned Republic Steel in this. Riverbend is actually going to be located right where Republic Steel was, and it's a great symbolism of Buffalo's economy and a microcosm of where we're going. Started off with steel, it shut down, and we're moving to clean energy solar panel production. And it's a great way of symbolizing what Buffalo's economy is moving towards.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And so, back in the day, my grandfather was a supervisor at Republic Steel, and so I'm very excited about this, obviously because of the jobs that will be created, and we know that these jobs also are going to be helpful in that the technology and the type of people that they're looking for very well could be coming from the universities, the 17 universities right here in Western New York. And they're going to be looking for all sorts of different positions here. And so it's going to be good paying jobs, jobs that probably are attached to benefits and healthcare. And so it's going to be based on their past in terms of these employers. And so if they do the same that they've done in the past in the future, it really bodes well for our young people here in Buffalo and Erie County.
Good cutting-edge jobs finally coming to fruition in Buffalo. That's what we've needed for years. Now the goal eventually, you're the chief fiscal officer of the city, so the goal is that these good paying jobs and these increasing property values, it could also mean more for the city's bottom line, whereas we can collect more revenue with our land being worth more on home prices rising, and it could affect the city's finances in a major positive.
Yeah, there's no question about that, because over the last 2.5 years, Patrick, that I've been the controller, one of my major worries is that when we have a fund balance, even when it is a good one, something that we're high-fiving about, because 10 years ago it was pretty bad, and the control board came in, and so now it's a much different picture. But there has to be revenue coming in somehow, some way. This is the perfect opportunity for the future, and so we're very excited about this.
Now, the person that oversees a lot of the finances in your office, City Accountant Bill Ferguson, he's going to be the one that's preparing these financial reports and seeing exactly how far we've come as far as increasing our revenues. We've actually prepared a special segment with Bill Ferguson as part of our Meet the Management Team segment. Stay tuned for this special report with Bill Ferguson. Hi, I'm here with Bill Ferguson, a certified public accountant who leads the Division of Accounting for the City of Buffalo. Now, Bill, as a city accountant, what are your primary responsibilities?
Well, I think overall I can sum it up that my primary responsibilities are being responsible for maintaining the accurate financial records of the city. That's it in a nutshell.
What does that entail? You prepare the comprehensive annual financial report.
Yes, that is our major report. That is our report to the public at large, to the taxpayers. Everybody looks at that, the rating agencies. And it's not just me. I have 14 staff members who are also responsible for doing that. And they're all very knowledgeable, educated, and they take their jobs very seriously, and they're very hardworking. It's their product. I'm responsible for ensuring the accuracy, but they do most of the work. I need to give them credit for that.
Now, that report has actually won awards,
yes.
Consecutive awards.
Yes, since 2006, the city submitted our CAFR to the Government Finance Officers Association's program. It's called the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. And since 2006, the city has achieved its highest honor from the GFOA. I think it's a testament to the entire Division of Accounting.
And there's a lot of deadlines involved in this. The numbers have to be in, and the report has to be submitted. And there's a bit of a time crunch at the end of the year.
Oh, without question. Yeah, and that's going to start in a couple weeks. Right. Our year end is June 30th, and once the calendar flips to July 1st, that's when we start getting the books closed and go through the whole process to prepare the CAFR.
And this gives a comprehensive look at the finances of the city for everyone from your average citizen to investors looking to buy bonds from us, to the Common Council and the leadership, the mayor, and it allows them to see just exactly where we are financially and where we're headed.
Yes, it does. It's available on the website. It's available for all to see. And besides the CAFR, which there's 128 pages, very detailed, there's also a PAFR, which we instituted this year, which I know that you've
spoken about that in the show. It's the Popular Annual Financial Report.
Yes, and that's for anybody. Anybody without an accounting or financial background can look at this document and see in a snapshot, here's the city's situation, financial situation.
And
both work in tandem with each other.
So the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, that's a thick report. It's all numbers, basically.
Correct.
And the Popular Annual Financial Report is more pictures, more narrative.
Exactly.
And it gives a layman's example of what the city is financially.
Exactly.
And you saw about the Popular Annual Financial Report at a conference, and it was your idea to bring that to the city of Buffalo and have a way to communicate our finances in a more user-friendly way.
Yes. My first year here, I went to the GFOA conference, and one of the sessions was about the PAFR, and just listening to the presentation and talking to the other financial officers that were there, it just seemed like a good idea just to provide the citizens and the taxpayers of Buffalo with a quick and easy snapshot of the finances without needing a degree to understand what a report this thick.
And a lot of municipalities hire somebody to do this. This department was actually able to do it in-house and produce this document then without having to hire outside help.
Yes. I spent a lot of years in public accounting, and with that I've seen a lot of the way my former clients have worked, and usually it's that the clients will prepare part of it, but the auditing firm will come in and really take it over and prepare the entire annual report. In this case here, from the junior accountant to the principal accountant in this division, everyone's responsible for their own section. The entire report is prepared in-house, and the auditors come in, they audit the numbers, they review the report, and they opine on it. They do not prepare it.
So in the comprehensive annual financial report and the popular annual financial report, we have the in-house ability to do it, whereas in the private sector, sometimes they have to hire people to do it. The people we hired, it just looks over the work that we've already done here in the city of Buffalo and the accountants have already prepared.
Yes, I think, and that's just, I think it's a testament to the staff that works in this department. They're all very qualified and hardworking, and need to keep up to date with the standards. The accounting standards change all the time, and everyone keeps up to date with what they need to do.
Now, you mentioned your background in the private sector. Tell us a little bit about your experience. How was it different than the public sector, and how did it prepare you for your new role as leading the accounting division?
Well, I think especially with my public accounting experience, I've had lots of clients, different organizations, municipal, not-for-profit, manufacturing, banking. There's large and small, from small mom-and-pop operations to SEC clients. And I think with that, I was able to see how things, just what works and what doesn't work within an accounting department, management styles, how processes are done. And I think it's good to be able to take that and apply it to my job here today. I mean, just you take the best of the best and try to apply it to what I'm doing here at the city.
So part of that is being able to identify what kind of methods you can use from the private sector that will be applicable to the public sector.
Yes, and there is a difference. I mean, I think there's a big difference in the public sector accounting and the private sector. Namely, is that the public sector uses governmental accounting, which is very different from private sector accounting. There's strict controls on the budgetary process. There's many funds that the city's operations are divided into. And for example, in the private sector, you have a budget, and that's usually meant as a guideline. If you go over budget, there may be consequences, but it still happens. What we have here in the public sector is that the budget is adopted by the Common Council, and you cannot exceed that. If a department tries to put something in that if there's not enough money in the budget line, it stops right there, and unless the Common Council decides to appropriate more money. So I think it's a way just to protect the taxpayers' money.
So in the public sector, you have to live within your budget, whereas in the private sector, it's just a guide.
It's a guideline, yes, exactly, yes. I mean, there's X amount of dollars that's budgeted at the beginning of the year, and if something happens and you need to spend more, the Common Council is the one, the elected body is the body that decides it's an emergency, or we need to do this, or not, or say, no, you can't do that.
Now, you mentioned your staff of accountants here. The way that you get hired for a City Buffalo accountant in the entry-level positions is to take a civil service exam.
Yes.
You think it's a good idea for young accountants out there?
I think without question. I think I would encourage anybody starting out their career the city's civil service website will list when the exams are being offered, and I would encourage everybody to sit for them. I mean, it's a good opportunity to work here. I mean, I've really enjoyed my past 2.5 years. There's people here that had full careers here that have loved it, and I have also hired some people from the outside, out of college, that are doing extremely well, and I think they're quite happy to be here, and I'm very fortunate that they decided to come here too.
And there's a lot of protections as far as keeping your job and to be able to rise through the ranks of the accounting. There's several different levels of accountants here in the city of Buffalo, and if you do well in your civil service test and you're a good employee, you can rise through the ranks.
You keep on. Yeah, once you start your career here, you keep on in the civil service. You keep on taking the tests for the higher levels, and when positions open up, you have a chance. Depending how you score, you have a chance to move up. And so many people that I know that at work here that have gone through that. My predecessor started.
And Forty Sherino was an entry-level accountant.
Yes,
and now, through the ranks
now she's deputy controller, so you can move from bottom to top very easily.
Now, Bill, you grew up in Lancaster, attended the University of Buffalo, but you've lived in the city of Buffalo as an adult, and you moved there as an adult, and you've lived there ever since. What drew you to the city of Buffalo from your suburban upbringing?
Well, I think I've always loved older neighborhoods and older houses, even as a child. One of my grandparents lived in a small village with a house that was built in the early 20s, and even though I haven't been there since I was 8 years old, I still can picture that house and just loving just the character that those houses have. My first house that I bought out in Lancaster was a old, small, 100-year-old house, had lots of charm, but it got to the point where I realized that I was just sleeping there. I would get up in the morning, drive into the city, go to work, meet friends, do things in the city, then I would drive home at night, go to bed, and repeat the process the next day. And finally in 2000, I thought it was probably better to have a house where you're living, where you spend most of your time living, and I'm very glad that I did.
And it's not only the cut down on the commute that you like, and also the character and the history of the city of Buffalo, but you also mentioned the density and the vibrancy in the city of Buffalo and how that has affected your decision to live and work here.
Without question. I think until I actually moved to where I'm living right now, I didn't realize how much I disliked the thought of needing to get into my car to buy a loaf of bread. I mean, if I need to get something from a market, I can walk 2 or 3 blocks and I'm there. If I want to go out to dinner or do something else, I can walk or take a very short drive. I think it's a different lifestyle. It's a very good lifestyle, and it seems it's a lifestyle that especially the millennials are embracing right now, returning to the city.
And we're talking about the vibrancy. You can see that every day. You work in City Hall, right outside your windows. Also, you worked here back in the 80s and the 90s, and you can see a marked difference from the way it was then and the way it is now.
Oh, without question. When I started working downtown in 1986 through about 1998, and it was a much different city back then. I mean, there were some developments going on, just primarily the bank buildings by Fountain Plaza, but other than that, parts of it were, like, frankly depressing. Many stretches of Main Street were boarded up. Very little vibrancy in the city, and right now it's exciting to see what's going on. The 500 block of Main Street, perfect case in point. People staying at the Hyatt, when the Hyatt first opened, is one of the premier hotels of the city. They'll sit in the atrium and look across the street and see empty buildings or boarded up buildings.
Storefronts.
And now that entire small neighborhood is coming back. All the buildings have changed hands. They're being renovated. There's restaurants and shops that are opening up. Where Arby's used to be, now it's a couple that bought the building. They're living on the 2nd and 3rd story, and they're opening up a French restaurant on the ground floor. And I never would have believed that 20 years ago, that ever would have happened.
Part of the reason of Main Street's rebirth also is because of the medical campus on one end of the Metro Rail and Canal Side's great progress on the other end. You see these are the types of developments that Buffalo has been waiting for years, right?
For years and years, yes. I think the medical campus, it's going to provide a good, it's a lot of jobs, a lot of good paying jobs, and I think there's going to be a lot of spin-off effects of that too. I've read that there's a lot of the developments along the whole Metro line.
Residential developments that
are
people
happening.
wanting to live there and take the subway to the medical campus, which is a coatless commute now, and all the buildings connect to each other.
And part of that is by design from the folks who are running the medical campus. They're not building parking ramps for all 20,000 people that are going to be working there. I think it's designed to encourage more of a sustainable urban living environment, encouraging people to live in the neighborhoods, or live near the commuter rail or near a bus line. I think it's a wonderful idea for the city.
Now, the medical campus and the new Solar City development at Riverbend in South Buffalo, these are the types of high-paying, quality jobs that back in the 80s and 90s when you were working down here that everyone said that we needed. Now it's finally happening where not only are we getting jobs, but high-quality jobs in the tech field that can help propel Buffalo's economy and have it a sustainable future rather than relying on heavy industry.
Oh, definitely. I think there's going to be a lot of positive spin-off of that. It's whether or not if the new jobs are coming, if the people, regardless if they live in the city, which I believe a lot of them will, it's going to help out whatever neighborhoods they live in. It's going to help out all the restaurants, the retail, entertainment. You have more people living in the city with good sustainable jobs, they're going to be spending the money within the city and within the community. I think, and just the saying that a rising tide lifts all boats, I think it's going to be a huge impact on the city. And then eventually, from the financial point of view, it's going to raise, a lot of neighborhoods are coming back. It's going to raise values to the for the city, for the assessed values.
So in
and
turn,
eventually, I mean, that's not our choice. I have to say that that's
Right.
the administration's decision. But it's going a more prosperous city is always good.
so it's going to have an effect on all this economic activity is going to have an effect on the city's bottom line because rising home prices will increase the property tax revenue from the city, which is one of our major sources of revenue.
Yes, you don't want to. People don't like to hear that, but it's that's the reality. Is paying for the services that the city's providing.
And we're already seeing that in some neighborhoods like Allentown and the Elmwood Village. Prices are rising 43% in just a couple years. So once that carries over to the rest of the city, there's going to be a big impact on our revenues for the better.
Oh, without question, yes. And even just and without that too, it's the vibrancy. I think it's more the intangible, the vibrancy that this development is bringing to the city. There's so many areas that are coming back to life that they're just good places to be.
Almost like a domino effect. So the more progress we get, the more progress comes to us because of the reputation Buffalo will get of here's a vibrant place with a booming medical campus, a great waterfront, new solar development, and once this becomes more attractive, it's just going to draw more interest and more people to Buffalo.
I think so.
And it'll compound and it'll be better days for the city.
And one of the charms that the city has is its character, and its integrity. It's not a boom city. It's never going to be a Sunbelt boom city that's all new. I think part of what's drawing people to the city and a lot of the renovated buildings are the character. It's grittiness, but grittiness in a good way.
And some of the great architecture in the world, and some of the great architects in the world have built buildings here.
Besides Chicago, Buffalo's the only city that has the big three represented: Frank Lloyd Wright, Louis Sullivan, and
H.H. Richardson?
Yes.
Right. So that goes back almost to the reason you lived in the city is the great character and the great history, and coupled now with the economic vibrancy, it's a 1-2 punch that will help sustain our economy for years to come.
I think so, definitely, yes.
Well, Bill, thanks for joining us
Thanks,
at Comptroller's
Pat.
Corner, and thanks for your service to the city of Buffalo.
Thank you, and thank you to my staff. It makes my job possible.
All right. Bill Ferguson is certainly an asset to the city and its citizens. Now, Mark, Bill Ferguson is one of the first CPAs that you brought in, certified public accountants, to head up the accounting division. You're pretty pleased at the way he's changed that office.
He was the first one I brought in, and it was January 9th, 2012. And so I don't remember a lot of dates, but we were so happy to bring him in. Ann Forti-Sciarrino was the city accountant, and then we elevated her to the first deputy. So we needed somebody, and we had made a decision that we were going to look for a certified public accountant that has to live in the city of Buffalo. And as you can tell from the interview, not only is Bill intellectually smart, street smart, but he has a love for this city, and so does his family. That counts when you're looking to pick the right people to manage the people's money. And we're very, very proud of Bill Ferguson. He's done a tremendous job. Just a few weeks ago, we had to go through a process again to find a suitable certified public accountant outside firm to assist Bill in what is called the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report.
Now, these are the outside auditors that Bill was talking about in the interview that check over the work that his team in the accounting division do.
Right.
You went through an open competitive bidding process to find a firm that would be able to look at that and to make sure they're a professional firm and that we're getting a good bang for our buck, city taxpayer dollars-wise.
Yep, they're certified public accountants, and they assist under Bill's leadership, but they're hand in hand for a long period of time. And so you have to really make sure you have the right dynamics. And also, as comptroller, you want to make sure you have the right price because the taxpayers are paying for this service. That is the reason why we go through this process every 3 to 5 years to make sure we're getting the best organization to come in to assist us at the lowest price possible.
And they were the lowest bidder in this process. and their qualifications were very good as well. So you're very confident that they are the right team to overlook what Bill's doing there in the division.
And plus they were the incumbents, so they've actually worked with us over the past years, and so that's also important because we know the work product and we know the managers that they employ, and so we are very happy, with their overall presentation. But we're also looking for that price, and that worked to our advantage as well.
Now, the close of the fiscal year is coming at the end of this month, so that means Bill Ferguson and the outsiders are going to be very busy preparing the comprehensive annual financial report.
Yeah, it takes a long time, Patrick. It is quite an ordeal. This is mandatory. This started goes back to President Eisenhower, that all municipalities throughout the nation have to do this. And so we do it, and we do it in an award-winning way. For the last 7 years, we've won awards for doing it in a comprehensive way and also doing it in a timely way. And so over the next 6 months or so, they will be going through all sorts of different categories of trying to get the financials done. And then we have a responsibility, I have a responsibility to present it to the mayor at a certain period of time, usually the first or second week of December. And also we clock it in with the Buffalo Common Council so that they have our report as well. So it's a document that's very, very important to us.
Now it's summer officially in the city of Buffalo, and it's also parade season. You've already marched in at least 3 parades so far this month. Yeah. We got the Parade of Circles, we have Juneteenth, and you just recently marched in the Discover Amherst Street Parade in Black Rock. Tell us a little about those events.
Patrick, I enjoyed very much, and one of the things that I tell people as the comptroller, because I'm elected citywide, I make it a point to go to every single neighborhood in this city. It gives me an idea of all of the people and where they live and some of the different events that are important to them and their community. And just a couple weeks ago was Juneteenth. Juneteenth commemorates the ending of slavery. And so the first ever event was in Austin, Texas, like in 1865. But this is an event here in Buffalo up Genesee Street. It's wonderful. It's the 3rd largest Juneteenth parade in the nation. And thanks to the organizers, they've taken it to another level. They've taken it to a level of introducing the young people. The majority of the people marching in the parade are young people, and that's what we need to do, is develop bench strength so that they understand their history and they also understand their city, and that we bring our young people up in such a way in a tradition. So it was a wonderful event. I enjoyed it very, very much.
Well, Mark, that's all the time we have on this month's Comptroller's Corner. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
And thanks for joining us at home. Make sure to check out the City Comptroller's website, our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and our Twitter handle. On behalf of Mark Schroeder, this is Pat Curry signing off for Comptroller's Corner.